speech. It should be 5 to 7 minutes long. And the title of her speech is, What is an Executor and what are the responsibilities of an executor? Is it a thankless job or not? Welcome.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and honored guests. What an evening this has been. The crux of my speech is going to be to explain to you what it is to be an executor. Many may say it is a thankless job. My husband and I had the opportunity to serve as an executor of a dear friend of ours in Lexington, Kentucky. And from that experience, we learned that you need to cross your T's and dot your I's when you're still above ground. Otherwise, it's very difficult to do it from below. So is it a thankless job, or is it a job that is appreciated? An executor is a person chosen to carry out the wishes and the desire of the deceased. It can be thankless, or it can be an honor, or it can be a burden, or it can be something that you get great pleasure out of doing for your loved one. An executor is entrusted with the responsibility of winding up some earthly affairs that the deceased did not get to take care of. This may be a major task or an easy task, depending on what the deceased did. In our case, our deceased friend started to get her house in order, but she didn't get a chance to complete it. She got some of her estates in her trust, and she got her will partly done, but she didn't get to complete it. She left her car out of the trust. She left her house in the trust. She left the bulk of her liquid asset out of the trust. She had a second signature on that, so that made it difficult for us as the executor to try and have access to all of her assets. So make sure that you take the time to meet with the person that has chosen you to be responsible for their earthly assets. Make sure that you meet with them, make sure that you talk with their lawyer, make sure that all the assets are included in the trust, and make sure that there's funds available for you to take care of her business once she's deceased, because at first the liquid funds will not be available. The fund has to come from some place to take care of her burial expenses, which created a major problem for my husband and myself. An executor is charged with the protection of the deceased property, and this can be a major undertaking. All debts and taxes must be paid. Believe it or not, you still have to pay taxes once you're deceased. Sometimes, however, if the T's and the I's are dotted, she's taking care of that. The executor is also responsible for making sure everyone is aware of the transition that has taken place with your family member or your friend. So you have to get death certificates. You have to make sure the insurance companies, the credit cards, all the benefactors need to know what has happened, because a lot of time there is fraud that takes place. The Social Security office needs to be informed. Otherwise, someone may tend to want to draw the Social Security on a deceased person, and that sometimes is a family member. In our case, we were not relatives of this particular person. Her relatives live here in South Carolina, but they were too sick to attend the funeral or to help clean the house out to get the house on the market. But they drove to Kentucky and drew out half of her estate because one of them was the second signature on the checking account. So make sure that you, as the chosen executor, take time to spend with your loved one and cross the T's and dot the I, because a lot of times they're just not thinking about what they need to do. And we do not know when we're going to transition. The other crux of this executor position, I think, is so important. The executor must be an honest person, must be impartial, and that's why we were selected, because we were not relatives, so we would not be partial. We were about taking care of and honoring her wishes at her transition. The executor must also be diligent, because it does take work. We were gone for 2 weeks from our home to take care of her business. This is a call of fiduciary duties, the duty to act with scrupulous good faith and honesty on the behalf of our deceased friend. In summary, the executor must make sure that they set time to make sure they go through all the paperwork, and she was a teacher for 40 years. Every young student she taught, she had their pictures, she had their mugs, she had all the gifts that had ever been given to her. She had it in her home. From wall to wall, there were pictures. There was stuff everywhere. So we were gone for 2 weeks taking care of her stuff. So if you choose to be an executor, make sure that you love this person after they transition, and you love them even more when you go through their stuff. It can be an honor, and it can be a privilege. For us, it was a privilege and an honor. My husband's back is out right now, but he's doing much better. So however you choose to do it, make sure that this loved one understands what challenge is going to be for you. And you should understand what the challenge is going to be for you. But the challenge doesn't have to be a thankless challenge. It can be an ongoing challenge that will allow you to do something for someone that you love dearly. Thank you.